Yeah, I spoke with Trump. I called him. Will happen. And he told me he had great success enough. And your is from that end quote. And I think it's people thinking what the people say is speech and make his decision. And if you need to say, the Constitution. Well, that's I mean, significant century. I think if you ask Donald Trump a few months ago whether he was going to this threatening, I'm not sure he was getting if you got Donald Trump to say a weekend or a candidate will create I'm not sure he will tell you that he will do, but I think that we saw the last 10 days. I think it's been that the risks of taking that are less significant than thought initially. Because on the other hand, that there's diplomatic factors, especially the rejected several proposals. He gave them just in the last 10 days to me. President Trump was basically called Joe last Monday. And he made his pretty careful this from this 30-year coming. And I think when at the end of the day, the White House saw that there's no diplomatic path, and therefore the only thing left is to come back this way. What is your I'm not sure how long it would take for it's daylight. What's that? I think the Israelis are also waiting to see but because it's one thing that the public states where they needed to get close to see what were the results of the strike side or and side the other community and whether it reached or just and this is really here the details are very, very important. And I think that another few hours, maybe days, whether those communities will be completed in a way, and it will take you several years to try and construct an issue to do that.
be able to determine from satellite imagery or from, overflights. It's absolutely not required actually American, boots on the right of people with it.
At first, I think, both the FDA intelligence and the need to know what's happening in the next few hours and days. But I think one thing is changing. It's about the fatigue. Iran has hundreds of uranium, 400 kilograms of 60% of which uranium, several hundred kilograms of uranium. Here to the International Atomic Energy Agency and to the U.S. Administration where this material is. And this is now, I think, one of the challenges to see where this material is. So the Europeans still take this material to his location and try to, rebuild the nuclear program and enrich it and find actual weapons in a secret location. But now the question is, where is the material?
Some of those came close to having the outer from the prime minister suggested everyone should up. Does that make a lot of interest to Israel?
I think, we have Prime Minister Netanyahu saying that the regime change should be the result of that. And I think that's what it is. It's the right way to say that you're going to happen. For now, I have to say, we need on the situation. The way the regime, we actually see a different phenomenon for now. There's growing anger at Israel, who's probably one who's at least a I'm saying that the U.S. strikes will increase. We mentioned and growing support for the regime of the external intervention. So I think that the question would be what the Iranian regime is going to do next. Whether it's going to implement to retaliate physically against U.S. bases, U.S. forces, U.S. insurgents. There are thousands of U.S. troops and troops. The Iranians can also close the critical news, something that they were threatened to do, which would dramatically influence commercial shipping and potential water prices. We are now in a very, very dangerous stage. We need to significant instability for a very long time.
Different operations that in the skies over Iran. See it
to be honest, I think most of the plans, they're looking at targeting targets, but I think most of what they want to do, they hit it. The question now is whether Iran is going to say, okay, that's something for, or they people say, we have now, to escalate and continue firing Israel. Many of having launcher and Israel does not have enough to defeat those missile strikes for Pakistan. this for another 24 weeks. You may get
continue talk about you talk to the other side.
From the Israeli Prime Minister, the English talking about U.S. operation, he is talking about the notion of key strengths and first comes strength, then comes key significant elements, comes says that tonight American people surpass says they can no other country on earth can do, saying history not in the world dangerous being world's most dangerous weapon. Talks once again of the unshakable alliance between the United States and Israel. Make no mistake, even though the Israeli Prime Minister did not actually the first President Trump carried out construction, not the position. It's exactly the scenario that the Israeli people had expected and hoped for before they even launched this operation. This entire Israeli operation that's happened today, and of course the Israeli Prime Minister will address the need that is another. 6 days ago, the first initial response
create some daylight, get clear, the U.S. is not involved. We know that President Trump ran on the platform with no more reports. And I think it's interesting, you talk with Bloomberg about the side of Syria, the asset league, and I think in some ways that has emboldened, particularly Israel, because it seems so easy. No strategic things happen, Russia mired in Ukraine, and globally, suddenly naturally after 40 plus
the entire regime crumbled.
his entire regime crumbled. And so now, instead of putting the history regime, you see from perspective as being this being disaster, let's say, you have this new potential model where you're going to have complete information inside infiltrate intelligence and suddenly get lucky potentially and originally so what I suppose is really surrounded this. They say regime change is not necessarily a strategic objective, but it is the desired outcome. And we also have former head of Mossad warning Israel's leaders that there is sometimes between what you're able to achieve in those early days and eventually on your side, and what you get mired into when you get very interesting to see on the back of this. Where Israel stands, who's drawing the line under this once and for all.
We're waiting for the president. 10 p.m.
Yeah, and because the whole back home was we got to convey to across the great president order all countries nuclearly working in team, and that no further strikes were going to be planned moving forward, according to Julie earlier discussions. Now, it's not immediately clear how this message was actually conveyed to the Iranian the conversations between the U.S. and the last week, the White did confirm just last week that there was still some kind of communication between the governments, but still very important point here. The U.S. did convey to the government that this was going to be a limited, as limited as we can be, shooting through nuclear facilities, that we're not going to need additional strikes. Now, we're also learning further that ordinance that would use these explosions, not with these massive numbers of bombs, that the U.S. has already drawn from the B2 bombers. This is the first time those massive ordnance penetrators, those bunker monsters, have actually been used operationally and tested and before they have questions about how it's actually managed to crystals and how very the ground now. We are hopeful these bunker monsters were used here for the first time as part of conflict management.
Thanks very much. We're going to hear from also stating my review that I got on air. You already talked to a few people and sexual that is in like this. What do you think your focus on tonight?
A movement shall begin. May start on 1 of 1. Press OK to select. Which viewers are 10 to 11 p.m. Real time. Basically matched. Live. With TV channel 200. Press Press M for recently launched. Press M to Zero, current channel entry. 4, current channel entry 204. Info menu. Fax rooms channel HD, FNC HD, 204, new. Fax rooms Saturday night, 24, episode 24. Get more info, button 22. Press OK to select. Press right to move. Press N to dismiss. Press OK to channel entry.
Used in that case to take out those sites on the other two sites, but it's really to take out about 75% of the
2, current. 1, current channel entry 211. Info banner, CNBC channel 211, American Greed, Radio TV PT, Season 14, and 2, 0, current, 4, current channel entry 204. Info banner, fax rooms channel HD, FNC HD, channel 204, new. Fax rooms Saturday night, 24, episode 24. Inquiring unrequested. Press OK to support. Press N to review. Press N to dismiss. Press O OK to begin channel entry.
I think people believe that they move to the civilization. God bless America, God bless Israel, and God bless their unchanged law.
right back. Here's the president.
Uranium, Purdue, Natanz, and Esfahan. And one of those things, the union says it it's hard, for us. Our objective was the destruction of grants. Grants and they stopped the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 city sponsor. Connecticut. That the strikes were a spectacular military success. Our nuclear research facilities have been completely destroyed and obliterated. Iran and many of the Middle East assembling peace. If they do not, future attacks will be fought here and allies here. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. Every person of people going with their arms, going with their legs, with suicide bombs. That was the specialty for several thousand people. And hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of the hate, in particular Somebody were killed by, somebody. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank the Congressional Congress for being young, for just perhaps 17 minutes that worked before. Having gone a long way to appreciate some threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, the great American patriots, those magnificent chiefs, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. That's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raising, spectacular general, and all of the great military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy far greater than we have witnessed over the last 80 days. Remember, there are many targets left. The most difficult of them all by far, and perhaps the most fatal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Also, getting out and minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight. Not even close. There's never been a military that could do what 26 over a while ago. Tomorrow, General Jane, Secretary of Defense, PXF, will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God, I want to just say, we love you, God, and we love our great military protector. God bless the Middle East, God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
President Trump at the White House, Vice President and Secretary of State Mark Rubio, Secretary of Defense Pete Nixon, President Clinton, and a statement, a very powerful statement, ending with thanking God and then the United States military. He praised the military of Israel, the military of the United States, said hopefully we'll no longer need their services. He also said, and he stated this from the phone back in 2011, that the number one state sponsor of terror cannot have nuclear weapons. And tonight, that drug is a spectacular success, completely, totally obliterated the nuclear capability of Iran. And they weren't just a team being Israel in the U.S. like no other team before. And the president said it again, believe the military, that option will no longer be necessary. That shows a lot of whatever remaining leadership we have in Iran. So tonight we don't know the answer to that. The military leaders have been taking reports today that 3 other Iranian Revolutionary Guard generals have been taken out. And one included the organizers of October 7, 2023 in Israel. President Trump just addressing the initial backlash ex-teams in Israel tonight. I would expect as we head into dawn that Prime Minister Netanyahu will be addressing his nation probably in the early morning hours.
Yeah, John, absolutely. We're witnessing a historic moment in the Middle East right now that has a real chance to change the status quo for the region. And it's really Prime Minister Netanyahu who released his first remarks following the American strikes against Iranian nuclear facilities. He said, it's like President Trump that the U.S. acted with a lot of strength. President Trump, I thank you, the people of Israel, thank you. He goes on to talk about the close coordination between the Americans and the Israelis. President Trump there speaking at the White House, and he made it clear what he has effectively done is to eat away Iran's leverage in any sort of conversations moving forward. Because remember, Iran had 2 key leadership people. They had the ballistic missile program that has been largely decimated by Israeli strikes, and they had a nuclear program that has been largely decimated by American strikes. And tonight the region is in a new place. The path forward, and President Trump is giving the Iranians yet another to step back from being more American strikes and British targeting what's left of IRGC leadership and what's left of the political leadership inside Iran. I spoke to the Israeli security source asking what the move was like in the security echelon here in Israel. That's what everyone is creating God bless America and God bless President Trump. They describe this as euphoria and historic. These officials think there's a sense of relief. Remember, the Israelis largely considering as the big move that they have faced the past 9 days have been completely over the Israeli people as they come under ballistic missile fire following the launch of this Israeli operation against those nuclear scientists and against nuclear scientists inside of Iran. But tonight, the region has changed. The nuclear sites have been largely destroyed, according to President Trump. There still is a minor threat of ballistic missile fire, but we understand that tonight Israel remains on high alert. They are entering into a new state of emergency, changing the from command guidelines for the civilian population. There are more than 9 million people. To limit public gatherings tomorrow, canceling workplaces and schools. Understanding that now may decide to respond. But again, the latest information on behalf here tonight, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reacting these American strikes that targeted Iranian nuclear facilities, Isfahan, Natanz, and Fordow, the places that the Iranians were enriching uranium, trying to get closer to weapons-free material that they would then use in a nuclear bomb. President Trump announcing something from the White House. Those sites have been destroyed. Iran no longer have the leverage that they had just 24 hours ago going into any future conversations with the Americans or the Europeans. John.
All right, Trey, any state of Israel, President Trump has made a statement. He addressed the nation. A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime, Fordow, Natanz, and he went on to describe in great detail what happened. Everybody heard those names for years, and he also did mention for home, the third site that was hit, both for home and Natanz were hit with Tomahawk missiles from a U.S. submarine some 400 miles away. Fordow, that was the one that was very deep inside the mountain. That was it. With not one, not two, but 6 busted bombs. Conventional thinking leading into tonight, if tonight were to occur, was that he was able to assure the nation tonight that the strikes spectacular military success and that Iran's nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. And Iran completed abilities was not a peace. If they do not, future attacks will be greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying, and by the way, they were saying on Friday, death to America, death to Israel. They've been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with drones by bombs. I went up to that in the last hour. All the instances that I didn't even list them all, of all the Americans that have been killed because of Iranian military activity. That was it, especially lost over 1,000 people and hundreds of thousands from the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of Iranian in particular. Somebody who killed like the General Soleimani, who decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. He will not continue. And he congratulated Prime Minister Netanyahu and how they worked as a team. It's like what he was before, a long way through erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they have done. Most importantly, I want to congratulate the brave and American patriots, those that flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope so. And he went on to congratulate all of the people involved. And he said this cannot continue. There will either be peace or there will be great tragedy for Iran. Far greater than we have witnessed in the last 2 days. He said there are many targets left. This was the most difficult of them all by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But a peace that does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision and speed and skill. And most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There's never been a military that could do what took place a little while ago. And he would want to thank everybody and ended with thanking God. And I want to say this, we love you, God. We love our great military. Please protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel. God bless America. And with that said, we have Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. We have his social remarks as well. President Trump, peace through strength. First comes strength, then comes peace. And tonight, President Trump and the United States have been with a lot of strength. And that, the first, I'm sure, will be another. And we expect sometime tomorrow from the Prime Minister of Israel, and Oklahoma Senator Mark Williams, as well as Senator. There is no doubt we are watching history tonight. There is no doubt that I agree with the president. This is one of the most skilled, important, and imperative peacekeeping operations in the last 40 years. And certainly the reign of terror in Iran, whether they know it or not, is coming to a quick end. They will decide to have faith. So far, they've projected any and all possibility for peace. We'll see what happens in the days to come. Your thoughts? Yeah, it's true. First of all, I've been back here, and I completely agree. Peace through strength is what President Trump has been talking about before. I can tell you, every one of our allies in that region is extremely thankful, and those that are our allies in that region are extremely thankful. All of our enemies around the world are extremely fearful right now, and they keep putting out earlier North Korea. Is, let me tell you, the fact that arrogance stood up on their neck. You have China that's paying attention, you have food that's paying attention. They understand that we can deliver what we need to do. We can destroy things in countries that are the United States. Now, keep in mind that it's a regime that's not just.
2, correction entry 202. URL, CNHD, continue with one type go layer, Overtime, season 23, episode 2. Get more info, W13. Press and page select, press room complete. Press back to 6, press navigation to enter entry.
He decided to.
Enabling shortened job. Restart, W11. Press escape to select. Press back to close.
Waiting to see how the respond. And how they're responding. As the choice that there's no danger of an attack to the United States. As many senators pointed out, the power of war against some other country was lost in the Constitution. And what President Trump has done is he's I that he believes in other times. So the United States is essentially attacking a foreign nation. I think so it's interesting to see whether
involved, to your point, not it is now to choose to do.
Striking, before you talked about it, that's essentially presidential policy for law, is you are you survive, you take this one on the chin, and you come back to the this is your chance now to survive and fight the current problem. He said, these are happening. That's the choice. And I think it's really just for our viewers who are not foreign to politics every second hour of the day to go through processes that are on hazard that it's successful. And there's one in our course in Lebanon, significantly weakened the degree to not get involved from the operation still to enact the pressure something to respond and he was not involved. Every American citizen and every American soldier is tired of it. Obviously, they have to deal with the U.S. through this thing. So we'll figure it out. So that's another. Then you have one that we have to talk about, especially about as well, which is one of the policies inside of the interesting on the President Trump water those roadside bombs. Back in the day, early invasion of the Hotel Saddam, the famous Shia record with this US over these molten copper roadside bombs that were absolutely lethal and didn't kill many American soldiers. The very fact that he's bringing that up again reminds us all of the various different policies of this region. Well, now, we mobilize in coherent or cohesive way, and it's an extraordinary number. It's an incredibly risky moment. Not to mention the whole sort of international law component. It's like happening together. But it feels honestly akin to the sort of investigation of the scale of
the entire region. I mean, we have heard that the other times we've been a lot of about it's like really near the drug which at this very moment would be an enormously significant role in any kind of retaliation because Hamas and Gaza. Now we have a lot of Israel that Israeli officials had anticipated and expected 50% of Iran is now been destroyed, and now the entire nuclear program, according to the president at least, has now been destroyed, and the potential threat of any kind of decision by the Iranians to weaponize the nuclear program has now taken on a taking, at least for the entire region of the Middle East, of the way in which Israel and the United States were able to operate in such a region without such a significant threat on Iran. And President Trump has announced that the Iranians want to survive, will come to the table and so he also told them that they need to do it. And so how long is President Trump how to address this issue with more here and to be able to survive.
We're talking about this idea of reshaping the center, right? And it's not that well. And I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but we need to keep in mind recent history.
And the U.S. would keep that.
But now the Iranians will retaliate. They said several times
they will retaliate against worst and there are a lot of those. There are US bases in Qatar, in UAE, Saudi Arabia, anybody in all missiles, and there is short range missiles, they can reach those missiles. I think this is a question. How do you this retaliation setting? Question how you do it? Are you going to close this rate of proposals? This is another threat they made, and those in other commercial cases, commercial cases, oil and natural gas, if we get prices up, this will cover world's economy. We're talking about 30% of the world's exports are moving through this. This is this situation and we get out of this military structure.
It also regulation do you think it's too much to know that for sure?
So a senior Israeli official who was in the Israeli cabinet while the US and he said that what the results would be of the strikes on 5% funding or 15 money. That it would happen in the last 10 days. The Israeli strikes and the US strikes has been the UN program several years back. And the UN living and this is they try to remove it, we will come back again. And they need to come back again. The same way it doing it was in but right now, they will have to choose if they try to rebuild that particular program, then will in the future destroy it.
So, if you were Israel today, continue your operation over Iran, or maybe
I don't know. I could always has more targets. They number of missiles and missile launchers the Iranians have, and the number of interceptors that the Israelis have. Therefore, I think the Israelis will continue to hunt down those missile launchers. But when it comes to nuclear facilities or other targets, I think more or less the big things the Israelis wanted to do, they did, and what they did not do, the U.S. Did to them.
Isn't there concern about, or I don't know, if you're hearing concern about the location of plutonium, the location of nuclear material? I had read that there were possibilities that a lot of that had been moved to sites that the IAEA may be unaware of, and that the U.S. and Israel may be unaware of.
I think that's a major concern. You're talking about, it's not, the problem is that we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of kilograms of enriched uranium. This is not, some, small amount of uranium that you put in a suitcase and take somewhere. We're talking about big stockpiles that I'm not sure that anybody who's not the Iranians know where it is right now. And this means that for a long time, we might not have clear information about where is Iran's enriched uranium. And to enrich uranium from 60% to 90%, which is what you need to build a nuclear bomb, you don't need thousands of centrifuges. You need a dozen centrifuges in some secret location somewhere in order to do it. That's, I think, the biggest question. If the Iranians are capable to find a secret location where they can take the enriched uranium they still have, to take some centrifuges that they might still possess, put it all together, and try to dash for some sort of a nuclear device that they can detonate and show that they're capable. And obviously, if they will be able to do that, then the world will look completely different afterwards. So I think that's the biggest question right now. If the Iranians are going to, pull the brakes now and say, okay, we want a ceasefire, or on the other hand, push the gas and say, we're dashing for a bomb.
Barak, as somebody who has reported on this for so long and knows this region so well, can you just, and there's a lot of folks watching who don't follow this as closely as you have over the years, just how extraordinary is this moment?
I think it's regardless of whether you support the striking U.S. striking Iran or you oppose the U.S. striking Iran, there is no doubt this is a historic night. There are, I think, at least 4 U.S. presidents that faced this moment of saying, what am I going to do with the Iranian nuclear program? Am I going to use military force to stop? Was Bill Clinton, George Bush, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is the only one of those presidents who decided to take military action, and this will definitely be a major part of his legacy.
Barak Ravid, thank you very much. Brett McGurk, your thoughts after hearing from the president. Again, you have worked on this for a long, long time.
Reflecting on it, and Fareed is right that the statement on top about Iran and what this government is and what they've done, the number of Americans they've killed, I thought was right. I think it's important to remind the American people of that. Then it was kind of just stock thanking our allies. I think the level of coordination with the Israelis we've been talking about, I think it was really hand in glove. That was in the statement. But really, the most important thing here is the message to Iran. I mean, this was a very tough, reflective of what I think the private messaging has been. This could be it. But if you respond, the president literally said, we have many targets left. And I just say one final thing here. If anyone tells you, Anderson, they know where this is going, the good optimistic case or the most pessimistic, they have no idea what they're talking about. Nobody knows. I just think we got to step back, prepare for the worst, but work diplomatically for the best possible outcome and contain escalation. Overall, I have to say, I think it's a good thing for the world if Iran does not have these enrichment facilities, if this was successful. This has been a problem that's vexed us for so many years. We have to see. But you're right there in the heart of it, Anderson, and Iran's going to have to make some decisions now for the next couple of days, and those will be truly faithful decisions.
If you were in a situation room and you were watching you're looking at the range of levers Iran has to pull if they want to attack the United States, attack Israel, respond in some way negatively to this attack, what levers do you think most likely, given the degradation we've seen in Hezbollah and Hamas and the change of regime in Syria?
So they have 3, and we know what they are. They're missiles, militias, and then terrorism, hostage taking. And that can go on for many years. Again, that's not new. It's something we've been dealing with Iran for decades. But on a missile, Anderson, it's the short-range missiles that are personnel involved. Again, I think if Iran tries that, I suspect we have an immediate counter, and we have defenses in place, but that would be a go-to for Iran. And the militias, particularly in Iraq. They have a lot of proxy militias in Iraq. They've been in a ceasefire over the past year or so. I mentioned earlier, after October 7th, those militias came after us. 3 Americans were killed about a year ago. We had to fight back, we had to strike back, and they declared a ceasefire. So it's missiles, militias, and then their acts of terrorism and hostage taking. That's their go-to. And Barack said something right. There might be hardliners in the regime saying we should continue down that path. I suspect there's going to be other voices in Iran, particularly President Pezeshkian, who's a more moderate guy, saying, you know what, guys, maybe we have not been on the best strategic course here. So they're going to have a debate within their system, what's left of it right now, about how to proceed. But that's a very tough message from the president. Basically, this can end here. There can be peace or tragedy for Iran. That's what he said. And I suspect Iran will have to do something. But the kind of full-scale response that some might be predicting, I think it's going to be difficult for Iran to muster that. And what's so impressive here is that Israel controls the skies over Iran. So whatever Iran tries, we can harm significantly. It's.
Let me ask you about that.
I mean,
Because the IDF said a couple days ago they've eliminated half of the launchers for missiles. I don't know if that's the ballistic missiles, the long-range missiles. I don't know if that includes also the shorter-range missiles, which you're talking about, which is what they could use against U.S. forces in the region. I guess my question is, those shorter-range missiles, are they easier to launch? Do they require the kind of transportation that in some cases these longer-range missiles, these ballistic missiles require? Because Israel has effectively destroyed the trucks that carry missiles to the launchers. These shorter-range missiles, is that something that Israel controlling the air can target and continue to target?
yes, Anderson, and I suspect that's been going on the past 8 days. You know, let me say something about this, and I'm careful because I've been against Iran.
In the Iranian regime, Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago. Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
The Supreme Leader only lied because Donald Trump has chosen to keep alive. It's something the president said a week ago.
Thank you very much.
Message.
A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime, Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago. Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
For just the headline, who was it, or what organization in Iran is saying that they will continue their program?
That was the Iranian Atomic Energy Organization that put out a statement calling this a savage attack saying that it was against international law, saying or calling the International Atomic Energy Agency complicit in all this, and also vowing that this will not deter, as they put it, nuclear energy and the development of Iran's nuclear energy program in the future. Of course, the Iranians, that's something we have to stress because they stress it all the time. They continue to say that the nuclear program is only for peaceful purposes. They believe that it is a right that they have that no one can take from them. And they have been bound to continue that nuclear program no matter what the United States does. So this is something, we've been here on the ground over the past couple of days, and every single official that we've been speaking to says the same thing, that this program will continue in some way, shape, or form, that they'll definitely pick up the pieces they believe it's their right. And even when I speak to officials now, when I ask them, the Trump administration said that Iran can't have nuclear enrichment. They continue to now even say that that is a red line for them, that enrichment will continue even if it's on a much lower level. Of course, we have to see what the reaction to these strikes is going to be, but the Iranians are certainly saying that for them, the nuclear program is a red line. Enrichment is also something they say that they will continue to do in the future, Anderson.
I guess the question now, of course, is what are their capabilities to do that, and also where is the location of some of the nuclear material? Was it still in these facilities, or was it spread out around the country? We don't have answers to that. I understand we have some new photos from inside the Situation Room. If you can put those up, seeing these for the first time. There you see Marco Rubio, you see President Trump, you see Pete Hegseth there on the left, Vice President Vance. I'm not sure at what stage of the operation these photos were taken, but these now just being released by the White House. Of course, I've been during 9/11 being in Tel Aviv. Dawn has come, no air insiders so far here in Tel Aviv. That's good news. Hearing from Fred that the atomic organization is pledging to continue their program, that's probably not encouraging news to the White House or to anybody.
No, I mean, I think we have to be realistic that there will be some bluster and some braggadocio in the coming days, and we don't necessarily need to take it all literally, because some of that will be intended for domestic consumption within Iran. We've also heard, I should mention, from the Houthis militant group in Yemen, they've said, quote, that Trump must bear the consequences. Again, not clear what those consequences will be, but we have seen them firing ballistic missiles towards Israel, and we've also seen them hijacking ships of the Red Sea. I did read this very interesting commentary from Kareem Zedjapur, who you probably know well. He's one of the real experts on Iran, works with the Carnegie Endowment, and he talked about, and I think we've hit on it again and again this evening, but just the extraordinary thing about this moment is how little we know about what comes next and how it can literally go in either direction. He wrote, what happened tonight could either entrench the regime or hasten its demise. It could prevent a nuclear Iran, or it could accelerate one. But one thing he said, which I would be inclined to agree with, that I also thought was worth mentioning, is this idea that it is more likely to open a new chapter than to end it. So as much as the White House is projecting this idea of we're going to draw a line under it now, right? New chapter, new page, let's start again. I think realistically, even if this does end up in the long term having a positive impact on some level, this is a new chapter now, and we have no idea what it entails.
You also have to think about the years and the millions and hundreds of millions of dollars that the Iranian regime spent on this nuclear program. How much they have staked on this program, even just from a domestic politics standpoint. I mean, this is an incredibly embarrassing moment for the Iranian regime to see these three sites, according to President Trump at least, destroyed in one fell swoop with these strikes. They are going to need to find a way to save face here. And does that entail these significant attacks that we have been anticipating potentially against U.S. troops in the region? Does it entail significant attacks against Israel, where we are right now? And how do they move forward? And so this is an incredibly volatile moment. As much as we were talking before about the way in which this is, earth-shattering and changing the face of the region potentially. We don't know which direction things are going to go in. And this is a very delicate moment for Israel and also for U.S. troops and civilians in the region as well.
Kylie, I would have stated, by Kylie, I understand your new reporting on U.S. diplomats in the region.
Yeah, so what we're learning as you guys are talking about the potential Iran retaliation, we don't know what that will look like or when it will come, but the U.S. Embassy in Iraq and the U.S. Consulate in Erbil, both of those are undergoing a pretty dramatic drawdown as we speak. There are flights that are leaving Iraq. Earlier this evening, they were actually halted for some time because there are questions right now about the airspace in this area, as you can imagine, Anderson. But as the United States is drawing down its presence from the U.S. diplomatic posts in Iraq, we should note that they're not completely drawn down. There's said to be still skeletal diplomatic presence, I'm told, that will be left there. This began 10 days ago. That was when the United States made moves. President Trump said it was because the region could become dangerous that they started drawing down their non-essential personnel who were based in Iraq. So there was already some indication when that happened that the United States had reason to believe that something was coming here. This was obviously before Israel started its operation against Iran. And so now what we're watching for is what the United States does with its other diplomatic posts in the region, and also if it offers any support to Americans who are concerned about what this could turn into and want to leave. We know that the State Department is providing some support for Americans who are in Israel right now to actually leave the country. We don't know exactly how many of them have actually gotten on those flights, but this is a very dynamic situation, and rest assured that people at the State Department are really monitoring every single intelligence tidbit that they get to make these decisions about what the force posture, what the diplomatic posture should look like in the region.
And I can tell you there's a lot of Americans who are very frustrated right now here in Tel Aviv and I'm sure elsewhere in Israel who would like to get out. We're finding it very hard to get information out of this embassy. We literally go after them. Certainly asking me for advice on how to get out. It's very difficult for people, it seems like, to get straight answers and to get flights organized or even boats, whatever it may be. There's a lot of concern about Israelis traveling, people with dual citizenship traveling through Jordan or traveling through Egypt overland for understandable reasons. I want to bring General Wesley Clark over, Davis Marine Allied Commander. General Clark, your thoughts on this operation, what we've learned about it, the questions that still remain about is President Trump correct that this has been completely destroyed? Exactly what may remain, how do you see it?
No surprise about the B-2 strikes in terms of their ability to hit the target. Of course, we don't know what they have actually done to the target. Natanz, Isfahan, seems like they could well have obliterated it. We don't know about Corridor. Maybe they have. We also, as you all were saying, there's a video about where the nuclear materials really are. The Iranians have said they've already taken them out of these sites. They're distributed around the country and so forth. So we just don't know. It is, as Clarissa Ford was saying, a very, very volatile and uncertain time. I just hope that the president will use the momentum and the dominance that he has achieved to really push this regime. I hope we're not going into another argument that we had on Friday with the Europeans. You won't enrich, yes we will enrich, no you won't, yes we will. Because this really isn't about enrichment, is it? It's really about a state that has dedicated the last 40 plus years to the destruction of another state in the region. And this is the chance to really push for a redefinition by Iran of their purpose, whether that's a regime change or just a backing away from what they previously said. But it should go deeper than simply trying to avoid escalation dominance and hope we can restore to the situation that we had before. It's about trying to move to, as Larissa said, a new chapter. And that new chapter needs to be that Iran has given up trying to destroy Israel. If we can get to that point, so much in the region can be made so much better. And President Trump has a unique opportunity that no president has had before to really affect dramatic change in the region. The U.S. military is very confident, sure it has those targets. I don't expect the military to do anything in the next 24, 48 hours. We are going to have to wait probably on the Iranian response. But I do hope that we have people working underneath this, talking to lower level people inside Iran and getting their sense of things. And maybe there are people inside Iran who say, enough of this whole regime, let's change the direction of Iran now, save the civilization that we have, and move forward in harmony with the rest of the region.
John Clark, I appreciate your time tonight. In the minute or the 2 minutes or so we have left, I just want to go back to Brad. Brad, you worked on this in government through multiple administrations. And I'm just wondering on a personal level, what is it like to see what's happened tonight and to think about what lies ahead?
Big question, Anderson. My immediate thought goes back to where you're standing and what happened in Israel on October 7th. And in those days and hours, it was so fraught. And honestly, as Iran joined this multi-front campaign against Israel, Israel's existence and how it was going to come out of this was very much at stake. We went to Israel with President Biden about a week after that attack, and just an incredibly difficult. I just can't. It's hard to find the words right now. But what has happened from then until now has been a human tragedy on so many levels. We mentioned Gaza. We have to get that ceasefire in place, get the hostages out. But also what Israel has done, and frankly, yes, the U.S. supported Israel in its defense throughout this entire period. I believe strongly we were right to do so. And it has now led to, I think, where we are, which is extraordinary, with knocking out Hezbollah, mentioned the Assad regime, everything else, and now Iran being where it is, with Israel effectively controlling Iran's skies. However, that's all very tactical. The strategic equation is open. And I think Kareem's tweet thread that was just mentioned on air is excellent. And I think that's the point I mentioned about 5 minutes ago. If anyone tells you they know exactly where this is going, they don't know what they're talking about. But I do believe that the world's a safer place without these enrichment facilities in Iran. And Iran made those terrible decisions, including these advanced moves to the Fordo, and basically telling the IAEA we're going to continue to escalate our program and what we say. Or told Iranians in talks among them, if you keep this up, guys, it's going to be taken care of one way or the other. And here we are. So, yeah, this is a lot of blowback and decisions Iran has made over the years.
Well, Brett, I appreciate you being with us over these hours and these last 10 days. We're on the air together. This all began. I'm Anderson Cooper, Tel Aviv. CNN special live coverage continues right now. What's your after, Brett?
What's coming on?
We need to know the truth. And that's why we follow the facts. Wherever they lead, no matter how far we have to go.
Live with rocket bolts around the world. Commercial identity on CNN.
There are days I feel nothing like it. Even as an antidepressant, lingering depression symptoms can make it hard to break through. I wanted more from my antidepressant. I asked about Vraylar. Adding Vraylar to an antidepressant significantly reduces overall depression symptoms better than an antidepressant alone.
Vraylar is improved for other medications with dementia-related psychosis due to increased risk of death or stroke. Report changes of behavior or suicidal thoughts to your doctor. Antidepressants can increase these in children and young adults. Report fever, stiff muscles, or confusion, which may be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High blood sugar, which can lead to coma or death. Weight gain and high cholesterol may occur. Difficulty moving, tremors, slow or uncontrolled body movements, restlessness, and feeling like you need to move. Nausea, constipation, insomnia, dizziness, increased appetite, and fatigue are common. Side effects may not appear for weeks.
Vraylar. Version 63. Ask about Vraylar. savings, and convenience. We have great deals at LG, America's most reliable line of appliances, electric washers with slam-down flex blade, dryer with easy load door that opens 2 ways. Shop July 4th now at Lowe's. We help you save.
With the Chase mobile app, things move a little more smoothly. Deposit checks easily and send money quickly. That's convenience for Chase. Make more of what's yours. Have you heard about Royal Kingdom?
Royal Kingdom, no food.
It's a game changer.
Interesting.
The game doesn't contain Wi-Fi. You can play from anywhere. Space, a remote island,
No Wi-Fi, that's huge plus. What about those annoying ads?
0 ads.
0 ads, sure.
Yeah, and it's free to play.
Free, no ads, and no Wi-Fi. Never played a World War II.
Power on. Hooray, hooray!
So I guess we gotta wait and see if Iran retaliates. And one thing I noticed about, as I close this out for the night, hopefully, one thing I noticed about President Trump, when he thinks about war, he's thinking about the old war with weapons and airplanes and troops and bombs and military spending. But there's a new war, and the new war is the hackers and hacking in to government systems. And America's system's kind of old. And every week the president has a beef with Japan. He has a beef with Canada. He has a beef with France. He has a beef with Russia. He has a beef with China. This week it's Iran. And America don't have many friends in the world anymore. And we also were losing respect because the only thing your president knows how to do is use bombs, use troops, and that's yesteryear. You have the president wants a 1-point cut in the interest rates, but he has Japan mad at him. Japan holds most of America's debt, and the president's trying to shake them down for the extra defense money, and it's held up. And Japan's one of the best allies one of our country's best allies, and we exchange a lot of money, and the president's holding it up at a time where AI is big right now, and we need all the allies we can get in Asia. The president's holding it up, and he wants the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, to cut the interest rates. He got all these tariffs. He's not going to cut. As long as the president wants to be married to the tariffs, Jerome Powell's not going to cut. And if the data comes in July not looking good, he's going to hike rates. And another thing, the president, he's threatening Jerome Powell. He's threatening Iran. He's threatening China. They can't get, What else do you got? We're America. The flag means something. This red, white, and blue means this ain't about a threat. This is about hope. These colors ain't about threatening people. You don't have to threaten people when you have these colors. They used to. because it's a flag of hope. It's not a flag of threats. We're going to miss out on the AI gold rush if we sit here and play around in President Trump's tariffs. We're going to miss out. China is going to take advantage, and everybody's going to grab a hold of China. Europe is going to grab a hold of them. Canada, Mexico, Africa. We haven't had a president visit Africa in a decade. Asia, Southeast Asia. So the highest tariffs are on Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam. Some of the most loyal Americans, some of the hardest working Americans are from those countries. The president has a 50% tariff on them. And that's not America. That's not hope. That's not Reagan. That's not Lincoln. It might be Nixon. But America's worth more than just dropping bombs on Iran. You're gonna drop bombs and think that's cool, and Iran did this. A lot of countries did a lot of things to other countries. Right now, the genocide in Gaza, and we're all watching, and we don't want any Willie lump ran on. That's why we got rid of Biden, because he always tried to run the Willie lump on us. Now we have a new guy, and he's trying to run the Willie lump on us. We want to be Americans. We want to love other parts of the world. We want to use our passports in other parts of the world. We want to travel to Africa. Americans like traveling to Europe and Canada, Southeast Asia, and we like South America, the Caribbean. We like our benefits of representing this flag around the world, and we don't need a president that's always starting beef with people around the world. We need a president to bring value to America and these colors and stars. We need a president to bring value, who enjoys traveling the world, who enjoys eating different food and different cultures. We need that type of America to bring value to America. Everything in America ain't about millionaires and billionaires and money. We got hope. We got spirit. We got history. We fought to build this country. It didn't fall out the sky. It didn't fall out the sky. We worked hard for this country and our reputation around the world. And President Trump is bringing us down at one of the most important times in history. You got to do more than threaten other nations. You're America. You have the Secretary of State. What kind of value has your Secretary of State bought you? Even today, before the bombing was announced, Rubio's just notified the EU that the Trump administration's going to seek diplomacy. Why you do that? Like, your credibility, you don't want anybody in the world to trust you, Secretary Rubio. Why you do that? Last week, America wouldn't be getting involved in Iran, the Secretary of State said. The next morning, President Trump said, yeah, I knew I was down the whole time. The Secretary of State's supposed to be a star, a superstar, representing Americans around the world, bringing value to our brand. We're losing value. We're losing trust. Guys in masks picking up 18-year-olds at high schools because he overstayed his 6-year-old. He overstayed his green card when he was 6 years old. America, that's not what this stands for. This stands for you're the hero. It was the hero, G.I. Joe. The red, white, blue is hero. Stop using it for negative things, negative energy. America is multicultural. We have interests around the world. Please let our brand breathe. One thing about President Biden, you didn't hear from him much on the weekends. And sometimes you would hear from him for weeks. And it would kind of make, things going on in the world make you up. But now you think of it as like, if we only had a president, we didn't hear from weeks. Hear from for weeks again. This White House keeps changing the China AI material, technology, keeps picking on Taiwan Semi. He keeps picking on Taiwan Semi. Why does he pick on Taiwan Semi? Because that's Biden's company. Does the founder of Taiwan Semi, the greatest of all times right now, everybody has to use Taiwan. Biden went there in Arizona in December 2022, and Biden mentioned something about I'm born Delawarean, and Biden mentioned something about former Lieutenant Governor S.B. Wu, who also ran for U.S. Senate, and Jesse Jackson came to Delaware to campaign for him. So Biden mentioned S.B. Wu bought the founder of Taiwan Semi to Biden's Senate campaign back in the 70s. Taiwan Semi does all the AI stuff for everybody. They're like the king of the game. Tony Montana of AI. Apple, NVIDIA, Broadcom, Qualcomm. Recently, I seen Google, Amazon. They all use Taiwan Semi. On Friday, the news always comes out on Friday. There's new restrictions on dealing with China. And I wonder if President Trump always picks on Taiwan Semi because he knows there's a Biden connection. Just like you pick on Iran because there's an Obama connection, the Obama deal that he tore up. There's more to America than bombing. We got great minds. Who have great relationships around the world, who could bring them value to future generations of Americans. And if you didn't know, this is Who Cleaned Those Chitlins? Special Saturday night edition, June 21st. Who cleaned those chitlins? Because I ain't eating everybody's chitlins. Are there any malls in them chitlins? And who made a potato salad? Because I ain't eating no potato salad with raisins in it. Enjoy your summer. We'll see what happens. God bless America. And let's go clean these chitlins.